You know, from Hurricane Sandy to bridge repairs, Governor Christie is accused of diverting funding for projects. Well, today I spoke with New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez about those accusations and the state's infrastructure. RFL caught up with the senator in Jersey City, where he met with labor leaders and transit advocates to try and talk about efforts to rescue the Highway Federal Trust Fund. And there's a reason you're there, Senator, and that has to do with the Federal Highway Trust Fund, which is on the verge of insolvency. Tell somebody at home why this matters, not just, I guess, because of safety, but also because of stuff like jobs and dollars and cents.
So transportation is the lifeblood of our economy, also affects our quality of life and affects the environment in terms of the air quality that we breathe. So it's critical that we ultimately continue to have a federal participation in these systems so that we can be high quality, so that they can be affordable, so that we can keep the economic pump moving along and trying to continue to build this economy, and so that we can ultimately create the jobs that come along with it.
Let me ask you, on the subject of transportation in New Jersey, what's most troubling for you, at least as it relates with the allegations here? Obviously, we've got Bridgegate, with the Fed still looking in addition to other investigative committees. Now we have the questions about the Pulaski Skyway, and obviously dollars appropriated that came through bondholders. We still have questions about Sandy aid that may have been misappropriated. What concerns you most about these litany of investigations that are all ongoing?
Well, Richard, look, I only know what I read about the investigations, and we'll see where they all end up on. But it is emblematic of the lack of investment by the state of New Jersey in its critical transportation and infrastructure process. And it seems to me that what's happening, or at least what you read, is that we are robbing from Peter to pay Paul, but we are unwilling to fund the Transportation Trust Fund of the state in a way that creates a reliable flow of money for critical transportation projects that move people to work, that affect their quality of life, that creates economic development. As we see here along the Hudson waterfront, a lot of what's created here was because we had a light rail system that I helped create. Now, when you don't fund it, and then you start looking money for from other places to try to fund it, it seems to me that's how you get in trouble.
How do you feel about the idea of sports gaming in New Jersey, and also how the legislature is going about it? And then finally, also the pension deal. You got a lot of your constituents that thought they had a deal in place and that their pensions were going to be fully funding just a couple of years ago, and now we hear that the money can't be there. On those two issues, how do you feel, Senator?
Well, look, on sports betting, I believe people should be able to choose if they desire to sports bet, they should be able to do so. I'd rather have it done in a system that is controlled, regulated, that we have resources for those who have a gambling addiction. But if not, you leave it to offshore online entities that are unregulated. So I'd rather see it, and I think it's going to be important for revenue, not only for the state, but to keep Atlantic City alive. On the question of pension funding, look, those pensions have been underfunded dramatically. It's part of why people are willing to serve in public. They may not get paid the greatest salaries, but if you're a police officer, a fireman, or other public employee, you have a decent pension system when you retire. If in fact that pension system is insolvent, then ultimately we have real consequences at the end of the day. And this is all budget gimmickry. And instead of being responsible, I know the governor talks about, fiscal responsibility, but we're not being responsible in this sense.
And when we come back after the break here, we switch gears. A former Army Staff Sergeant poised to become the 9th living Medal of Honor recipient, awarded for heroic actions in Iraq or Afghanistan. We're going to hear his amazing story. That up after this break.